I'm going to help you reinvent yourself using tapping or emotional freedom technique. My name is Clarissa, and I help women reinvent themselves using shadow work, sacred feminine ceremony, and self-concept creation. And tonight I'm going to be teaching one of the main tools that I use in my work with women to help them to become whoever it is that they want. And yes, that is a bold ass statement, but I am the queen of helping women do what they say that they're going to do and be who it is that they want to be by the end of the year. Because reinventing yourself or becoming whoever it is that you want comes down to identifying what you want to do, what you want to say, and what it is that you want to experience in your life. And the only thing standing in between you and the woman you want to be, you and the thing that you say that you're going to do, the thing you say you're going to say, the thing you say that you're going to experience, is your thought around why you can't, and whatever emotion you think you're going to feel on your way there, or whatever emotion you think you're going to feel once you've accomplished or become her. And emotional freedom technique or tapping is a tool that you can use to shift your belief from these are all the reasons why I can't do this and why I can't become her to these are all the reasons why I will and can. And it also helps you to learn how to create safety around any emotion you think is going to come up as you are working on becoming the woman it is that you want to be. If you have been stuck, if you've been repeating the same pattern over and over again, if you're in this cycle of gaining some momentum and then some way along the path self-sabotaging, the reason why that's happening is because you either have a subconscious story or subconscious belief running in the background around why you can't and why you won't and why it's impossible for you to become this woman, or all of the terrible things that are going to happen if you try to become this woman, that you are not actively trying to shift, or you may not even be aware that that belief, that thought, that story and narrative is running in the background. Or what could actually be happening is that you are equating a negative emotion or an emotion you think that you don't know how to handle or you think that you can't handle when you try to go and do the things that you know are going to be required for you to be her. And if you're going to push through this, if you are going to actually bridge the gap between who you are now and the woman it is that you want to be, you're going to have to shift those beliefs that are standing in your way and learn how to feel any emotion. And if you can shift the belief, and if you can learn how to feel any emotion, it will become really easy to become her in 1 year. Emotional freedom technique is one of the main tools that I use with women to help them shift a belief and help them learn how to feel any emotion so that they can become the woman it is that they want to be. And I'm going to walk you through the process of how to do this, okay? So I want you to pull out a piece of paper and a pen. If you are watching with me live, we're going to do this together. If you are watching the replay, I want you to comment replay in the YouTube comments, and I also want you to pull out a piece of paper and a pen because I'm going to walk you through these steps one by one. So we're going to start off with some self-reflection as we do, because in order to break a pattern, in order for you to bridge the gap between where you are now and where it is that you want to go, we have to know where you're starting from. We have to know the pattern. So the first thing that I want you to ask yourself is, who is it that you want to become? Okay? And your answer to this might be, I want to be the type of woman who lands an executive position at like a top company. Or I want to be the type of woman who is a great mom. I want to be the type of woman who saves money on the regular. I want to be the type of woman who goes on 4 vacations a year. I want to be the type of woman who speaks up in the boardroom even if her voice is shaking. I want to be the type of woman who is consistent with working out or consistent with eating healthy. I want to be the type of woman, insert whatever it is that you want to be. That's the first question that you start with emotional freedom technique or tapping. The second question you're going to ask yourself is, on a scale of 0 to 10, Where is your belief that you can actually become her? So on a scale of 0 to 10, where is your belief that you can actually become that woman that you just wrote everything down about? 0 means I don't believe that becoming her is possible at all. And 10 is, it is as good as done. I'm pretty much already her. Okay, so that's the second question. The third question, if you scored anything lower than a 10, and unless you are already her and you have that life, you should not be scoring yourself a 10, okay? If you scored anything lower than a 10, the next question you want to answer is, why am I at the number that I'm at? So if you scored a 5 on your belief level, belief that you can actually become her, then you're going to say the reason why I'm at a 5 is because I've never been consistent with this before, or I don't know how I'm going to do it, or I'm a 5 because I don't think I'm going to have the support. I'm at a 5 because I always self-sabotage. I'm at a 5 because insert whatever reason you think that you are at a 5 and not a 10. What that question just revealed to you are all of the beliefs, the subconscious beliefs that you have around why you can't become her. And the reason why this is so important is because this is the identity that you are operating out of. The first question that you answered was the identity that you want to be operating out of. The answer to this question is the identity that you're currently operating out of. These thoughts, these beliefs, this narrative is why you are showing up the way that you're showing up in your life and why you have the experiences it is that you have. And this is what we want to shift using emotional freedom technique, okay? Now, I should have said this at the beginning, but what emotional freedom technique is, or tapping, is it's essentially a tool where you tap on different meridian points on your body, similar points that would be used like during things like acupressure or acupuncture. And by tapping on these points in your body, what you are doing, or what happens on a scientific level, is number one, you are deactivating your amygdala, which is the part of your brain that's responsible for your emotional reactions. It's like responsible for your fight or flight system. And by tapping on these points in your body, you basically will start to shut that part of your brain down. And the reason why that is important is because when you're having big emotional reactions, the part of your brain that could actually make decisions, the part of your brain that can think clearly, the part of your brain that learns new skills, basically the part of your brain that's going to help you to become her, shuts off. So if you have a lot of big emotions around becoming this woman, or even the process of becoming this woman, you're not going to be making good choices. You're not going to be making choices that are in alignment with the woman it is that you want to become. And this is how we can unconsciously self-sabotage, but really what's happening is you're trying to self-protect because your body doesn't know if it can handle what it's about to go through. So that's the first thing emotional freedom technique helps with. But the second thing is that it actually also turns up your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that is responsible for making decisions, for learning, for thinking. The part of the brain that we want to be on when we're making choices in our life, because the choices that we make on a day-to-day basis are what's going to create the life it is that we want. And when we're starting to see all that evidence, it helps to reinforce our identity. And so as you can see, this tool is very effective in helping you to do the things, say the things, act in the way that is going to help you to become her. So to recap, you've asked yourself who it is that you want to become. You've asked yourself what your belief is on becoming her right now. And then you've asked yourself why you are at that current number. And whatever you responded is the current identity, the current storyline that is driving all of your behaviors. If you want to know why you don't have the life it is that you want, if you want to know why you keep self-sabotaging, if you want to know why you keep procrastinating, everything you wrote down there is the reason, and that's what we're going to shift through emotional freedom technique, okay? Now, when you read those statements or that statement that you wrote down in the third question, I want you to ask yourself, how do I feel when I read this statement? So you might have emotions come up like, I feel disappointed, I feel shame, I feel angry, I feel embarrassed, I feel insert whatever emotion it is. And then I want you to rate the intensity of that emotion on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is, I basically don't feel it at all, and 10 is, this is the most intense this emotion has ever been for me. And then if you can, identify in your body where you feel it. This is the first step of using emotional freedom technique to reinvent yourself. This whole process that I just walked you through is setting us up for the actual practice, for the actual tool, which we're going to be doing together on this live stream. This piece of it is very important because it's going to drive the use of the tool and the shifting of the belief so that you can actually become this woman. Okay? And if you have questions about this practice, you can drop them in the comments right now if you are live, and if you're watching the replay, you can drop it into the comments underneath the YouTube video, and I will respond to every single question and every single comment so that you can really make the most use out of this tool. Okay? So now we've set ourselves up for this process. So what I want you to do is I want you to focus on one of the statements that you wrote down underneath the question, why are you at the number that you're at? And identify the emotion that comes up for you and the intensity of it. And that's going to be the belief and the emotion that we're going to work with in the emotional freedom technique practice and tool. Okay? So I'm going to use an example for myself that's very similar to the work that I did when I was going through my reinvention process all of 2023. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, which I recommend that you do any of my videos on how to reinvent yourself, I talked about how I went through a dark night of the soul. And it all started and transpired because I felt like I couldn't be a good mom, a good wife, and also have these really big goals that I had for myself as a woman. I wanted to build a company that helped women to accomplish whatever goals it is that they had. At the time, it was helping them to graduate college because I knew that that would help them earn more money because they had a degree and all of that. And I had a really hard time holding those two things at the same time. And I went through an entire identity crisis. I pretty much stopped dreaming. I pretty much stopped really going after my goals, and I shrank down a lot. And one of the beliefs that I really had to do a lot of work around was this belief that it was safer for me to not have these big ambitious goals than it was for me to go after them. That in order for me to be loved, in order for me to have this family it is that I wanted, I had to let go of all of my dreams. And so I did a lot of emotional freedom technique to shift my belief around that, because that's all my brain could see. And everywhere that I looked, all of my friends who had these like really successful companies ended up getting divorced from their husbands. And then like my brain just kept focusing on like, you can either have great love or you can have a great career. You cannot have both. And because of that, and because family is a big value of mine, I did what I thought would protect me, which is I pulled back on my ambitions. But that is what led to me being very unfulfilled and unhappy, because that is not who I am. At my core, who I am is a woman who's always going to have big dreams, and always like, I'm meant to be in the spotlight. I am meant to have big goals. I am meant to make a lot of money. I am meant to have a big brand. I am meant for all of that. And I'm also meant to be in a loving marriage and be an incredible mom. And I only got to that place because of this tool that I used. So you have your statement and you have where you're starting in terms of the intensity of that. So What you're going to do with emotional freedom technique is it always starts with something called a set-up statement. So the set-up statement is whatever belief it is that you are trying to shift. Whatever belief it is that's not serving you, right? It's not actually helping you to become the woman it is that you want to be. It's actually causing you to pull back. It's causing you to self-sabotage. That's the statement that we're wanting to shift. So we're going to tap on different places in our body. And what that's going to do, number one, is it's going to reduce the emotional charge associated with that statement, which is great because when the emotional charge goes away, you can actually see the truth. When our emotions are high, our intelligence is low, which means we only see red, for lack of a better word. We're not seeing the truth. We're not seeing all of the possibilities. We're just seeing things from this very narrow lens. Doing this tapping process helps to remove the emotional charge so that the part of your brain that can think, that can see possibility, that can ask questions, that can be curious, turns back on, because it's through that curiosity that you're going to be able to see that this belief isn't true. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through what we're going to do. I'm going to walk and then I'm going to take you through the process. Okay, so with emotional freedom technique, we're tapping on different parts of the body. So I'm going to walk you through those parts now. There is a setup statement that's associated with the karate chop point of the tapping routine. So the karate chop point is this like fatty part of your hand right underneath your pinky. And this is where you're going to tap the setup statement. And I'll tell you what the setup statement is going to be in a second. And you can tap like this with all your fingers. You can tap with your hand. You can tap with one finger. You can tap with two fingers. I don't care. Also, the amount of times that you tap doesn't matter. So just like tap however feels comfortable. But we always start there. The next place that we're going to tap is right above your eyebrows. So right here. Okay, and you could do one side, you can do two sides, you can like go across, however you want. The second place you're going to tap is right on the side of your eye, right here. The next place is underneath your eye, so like where that bone is right there. I'm going to tap. And again, you could do one, you can do two, doesn't really matter. The next place is underneath your nose, right above your lip, like that. And again, you can tap however you want. The next place is on your chin, okay? The next place you're going to tap is right underneath your collarbone. So find your collarbone and you're just going to tap right there on your chest. The next place is a little bit funny. It's like right underneath your armpit. So like on the side of your boob, you're going to tap there. And again, however you want to do it, around, it doesn't matter. And then the final place you're going to tap is on the top of your head. Okay? So you start off with the setup statement. The setup statement always happens on this little chunky part of your hand underneath your pinky. And this setup statement is very simple. All you're going to say is even though, and you're going to insert whatever belief you currently have. So even though I don't think I can be an ambitious woman and also have a family, okay, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So even though, insert whatever the current belief is, so whatever sentence you chose from question 3, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So how this looks like in practice is even though I don't think I can be an ambitious woman and also have a family, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. You could also say something like, I choose to love and accept myself anyway. Or I love myself anyway. Or I love and accept myself anyway. Okay? So any variation of that. And you're going to say that 3 times. Even though I don't believe that I can be an ambitious woman and also have a loving family, I choose to love and accept myself anyway. Even though There is no part of me that believes that I can be an ambitious woman and also have a loving family. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though it's really hard for me to believe that I can be an ambitious woman and also have a thriving marriage, I choose to love and accept myself anyway. Okay? So that's how we set up the emotional freedom technique practice, or the tapping practice, with that setup statement. Okay? And then what you're going to do is you are going to take that one statement, right? So the statement that you said here, and you're going to tap on these points, repeating that statement so you get through all the points. And then you're going to take a breath. And then you're going to ask yourself the question, on a scale of 0 to 10, how true does that statement feel now? On a scale of 0 to 10, how intense does that feeling associated with the statement feel now? And what we're looking for is just a 1% shift. That's what we're looking for. A 1% shift in that statement no longer feeling true, or the intensity going down. And if you don't have a shift, that just means you need to tap more rounds. And then I want you to pay attention to what is coming up for you as you're tapping. Because what will happen as you're going through this process is memories will start to pop up in your head, or specific instances where you felt like this before, or an even deeper explanation of the belief. And if those things are coming up and you haven't shifted in that statement no longer feeling as true, or the intensity isn't being going down or isn't diminishing, you want to start weaving in some of that language that's coming up, so it's almost like you're telling a story while you're going through all of the tapping points. So I wrote down an example, and I'm going to go through the whole process with you all with this example. So let's pretend that for this example, that my belief is that I'm afraid to rock the boat. And again, this is in relation to like my family dynamic. I'm afraid to rock the boat by being too ambitious. And let's say that I really believe, like I'm at a 10, that like by me being ambitious, I'm going to rock the boat. And this brings up a lot of anxiety, and the anxiety is like at an 8 for me right now. So let's just pretend that. So what I would do is I would start on the karate chop point. Even though I'm afraid to rock the boat with my ambitious, and I'd rather everything stay the same, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself anyway. Even though I'm afraid that my husband will react differently towards me if I decide to be this ambitious, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself anyway. Even though I'm convinced that by me being this ambitious and having these big goals, it's going to mess up my family, I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. I'm afraid to rock the boat. I'm afraid my big goals are going to mess everything up. I'm scared that being this ambitious is going to ruin everything. I'm afraid to be this ambitious. I'm afraid my goals are going to rock the boat. I'm really scared I'm going to end up alone. I don't want to have to choose between my ambitions and my family. I'm afraid that my goals and my dreams are going to ruin everything. So once I do that, take a deep breath in and out. And then I ask myself, okay, how true does this statement, my ambition is going to rock the boat, feel now? And let's say I was at a 10 before, that felt very true. And now I'm at like a 5. And let's say my anxiety was at an 8, and now it's at like also a 5. So once you get your emotional state down to like 3, 4, or the statement no longer feels as true, so again you're at like a 3, 4 or under a 5, what you can start doing is you can start now telling the story of the woman who can have what it is that you want. And what I want to note here is it may take you several rounds of telling the negative story while you're tapping on all those areas in order for you to get down to a level 3 and under. And that is okay. That is fine. It might take you several days to get down to that, but I don't want you reinforcing the positive statements until your emotional charge is lower than what you started at, okay? Once your emotional state is lower, or once that statement doesn't feel as true anymore, then what we want to start doing is we want to start reprogramming your brain, reinforcing the identity, the thought, the narrative that we want to be true, because that identity, that narrative, that belief system is what's actually going to get us to become the woman it is that we want to be. So what this would look like is, what you would do is you would take every single statement that you wrote down under question journaling prompt number 3 that I gave you. So remember that question where I said, why are you at the number that you're at? Whatever you wrote down there, you want to write what would be the opposite of that statement. So you want to get really good at reversals, right? And this is something that I teach to women, and something that I'm going to teach in depth in my program, The Call, that's starting on March 4th. So if you want to learn how to do this work in depth so that you can turn your hardest moments into the reason why you become everything it is that you want to join me inside of that program that starts on March 4th. It's only $77, and we go through and I go through and I teach you how to do this process in depth, and I teach you how to do the reversals and how to change the statements and how to change the belief systems so that you're rewiring and reprogramming your brain to become the woman who can actually have and create everything it is that you want. So you take that list and you turn them into reversals, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go through and you are going to tap on each of those parts again with this new narrative, this new belief system, with this new identity. So what that would look like is, I choose to accept my husband even if they react to me. I can handle their reactions no matter what. I choose to accept my fears around this. I accept who I am and my ambition. I choose to accept that even if my husband gets mad about how much I'm chasing my goals, I can still appreciate who I am, and I can still have my goals and dreams. I choose to love and accept myself even if sometimes we argue around how ambitious I am. I feel confident and calm and determined, even though I have such big goals and dreams. And then you want to take a deep breath in and out. And you can do that and, keep reinforcing this new narrative, this new belief, this new way of being, this new identity, until you start feeling the emotions that get you excited, or get you feeling certain, or get you feeling hopeful, or get you feeling determined or get you feeling satisfied around becoming this woman it is that you want to be. And I promise you that if you regularly, because you don't even have to do this consistently, but if you regularly do this practice of emotional freedom technique and tapping, you will reprogram your brain and you will insert the identity of the woman, which when I say the identity of the woman, what I'm talking about are the thoughts, the feelings, and the actions that the version of you who has what it is that you want would be engaging in to create the life she wants. If you do this practice regularly, you will start to reprogram your brain to think like her, to feel like her, and to act like her. And if you think like her, you feel like her, and you act like her, you are going to be her. This is the exact process that I did to take myself from that dark night of the soul to where it is that I am today, where my husband and I have this beautiful relationship. He is fully on board. We are working together in partnership, where my ambitions are no longer this source of tension in our marriage, where we are working together towards creating this goal because we were able to see that we both want the same things. This is how I was able to go from failing out of 7 classes to graduating with honors, doing a version of this practice. I learned it from Gabby Bernstein back in the day when I read her book, May Cause Miracles. When I built my academic life coaching company, went from being a nurse to being full-time in my business, this was the work that I was doing, reprogramming my subconscious belief and creating safety in my body so that I would not fear feeling shit, so that I can go do the things I needed to do to become whoever it is that I wanted to be. This is the practice that you want to take yourself through. If you found this helpful, make sure that you like this video and you let me know so in the comments below. And I will see you on my next YouTube video. Bye.